The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
we are now about to witness the truth.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is today, Wednesday, March 1st, 2017. Time is flying by, and it feels like spring already. But anyway, it's 60 degrees outside at nighttime here in Boston. But, hey, no such thing as climate change. But it's just one data point, right? You can't say that it's a trend, even though it looks like spring is literally coming earlier this year. But anyway, I digress. It's just hot outside, and I'm used to seeing some flurries or something right about now. Okay. All right. Let me get my mind straight here. All right. You can join the conversation, 857-600-0518. You know the drill. Thanks to all of our patrons. It's great to have supporters, people who are here who can help take us the distance. So thank you for those who are supporting now, those who've supported in the past, and those of you who share all of our content, all of our material. We can't do it without you. A lot happening in the news, so we absolutely need to jump right into it. I'm going to try to cover some of the changing events going on with the Russia investigation because it is now an official investigation. The House Intelligence Committee said that they are going on Monday evening, which is a surprise because it hasn't really made a lot of news or loud news over the last 2 days. But they said that they're going to they have already agreed upon boundaries that they would set for their investigation into Russia's meddling in the U.S. elections. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes told CNN, he said, quote, "I'd like for it to go as quick as possible, but at the same time, we're going to try and get all the information that we can. We'll be looking at anyone and everyone, and as I said today, but without any real credible evidence, we're not going to be bringing Americans into there to be interviewed." So it sounds like I'm going to do it because I have to, but we don't really want to do it. He goes on to say, quote, "There is no evidence that I've been presented of regular contact with anybody within the Trump campaign. The only one that's obvious is General Michael Flynn's discussion with the Russians, which I would still contend that he was doing what he was supposed to do, which was prepare the president-elect for the blah, 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 blah." Again, doesn't really want to do it, but because of overwhelming pressure from below and tangentially, not above, because above would be, well, not necessarily above, because above, the White House isn't above Congress, but you get what I'm saying. They're getting pressure from below, and they're getting pressure from the intelligence agencies to do something. They have to do something. And so the Intelligence Committee has gone ahead and moved forth with an investigation. Now, a part of this story that is interesting, it's twofold. It's coming out according to the New York Times that the Obama administration, before they left, they rushed to preserve intelligence, Russian election hacking information. This just came out literally maybe a few hours ago. But there are 4 current and former officials who reported last month that the American authorities had obtained Trump's associates. And I'm sorry, hang on one second here. My eyes are not what they used to be. I'm trying to read this little portion here, but essentially, be quiet, David. Essentially, what has happened is the Obama administration, before they left, they preserved as much information as they could about the investigation. Both of these items are kind of trickling out little by little, and it's really a lot more that's being leaked out and trickled out, but it appears to be that there's going to be an investigation. I think this is a good thing. Like, let's finally get it done. On either way it goes, I hate when people sound so confident that Russia could not have done it or did not do it. Because the truth of the matter is, most of us, 99% of us, probably even higher percentage, 99.9999% of us, neither have enough information or evidence to say yes, definitively that Russia did it, or no, definitively Russia did not do it. So we can't really say one way or the other. Anyone who's asserting that has not seen the evidence themselves, or has not seen the intelligence, if not the direct evidence, anyone who's asserting that is just giving you their opinion based on whatever biases they bring into the conversation. When the fact of the matter is, most of us have no information to confirm or to say Russia did it or to say they didn't do it. So do the damn investigation and let's get it done once and for all. I think it's 100% within the purview and the character of Russia to do it. And I also think it's 100% possible that people are trying to scapegoat Russia just to absolve themselves of running a piss poor campaign. Well, we have Republicans who don't really want to investigate, who are being forced to investigate. Let's see what actually comes out of it. I, for one, I'm glad to say, let's actually put something on the public record, as much as this Intelligence Committee hearing will be on the public record. But let's just get it done. And then everybody on both sides just drop, shut up. Everybody's so confident. And everyone's so confident to the point where they are yelling at the top of their lungs, Russia, Russia, Russia. And then the other side is so confident saying, no way, no, Russia didn't do it. And I'm like stuck in the middle, like, none of you actually know whether they did or whether they did not. So let's just get the evidence out there. How about that? All right, let's keep moving. In other news, this is a story I've been trying to cover for a little while, and we kept getting, and this is a significant story. This is a story that shows you exactly who Jeff Sessions is. Jeff Sessions, he has an agenda that is, to say the least, detrimental to African Americans and minorities, people of color in general. That's who Jeff Sessions is. And he seems to be so focused on rolling back any type of protections, any type of progress. He's so focused on that these are the first things that he's done in the last month, or not even a full month, however long it's been since he's been confirmed. Right. He's already rolled back Obama's rollback of federal prisons, of private prisons. He's already signaled, Jeff Sessions has already signaled that he's going to crack down on marijuana use. He's already signaled in the conversation on voter fraud or voter suppression. He's already signaled that he's not interested in pursuing any type of legal action against states who are actively involved in voter suppression. And now today, or at least yesterday, he's signaling that he's going to pull back from, quote, the Obama administration's practice of suing local police departments over civil rights violations. I mean, if there's any question about his agenda and what he wants to accomplish, it has to have been answered for you at this point. So the Department of Justice announced that it would be withdrawing from the Texas voter ID case. We talked about that. They've already announced that they're going to crack down on marijuana usage. Look at the picture that's being painted. Look at the pieces of the puzzle that he's painting. He has it out. I'm sorry. This man has it out for anything that has positively affected minorities, people of color, and the black community. If he could single-handedly undo the entire Voting Rights Act, never mind the fact that it's already been partially gutted by the Supreme Court, but if he could, he's making it clear this is the type of America he thinks America should be. And now they're going to roll back any type of lawsuit against police agencies that are accused of civil rights violations. He said, quote, or it was released, it said, quote, "We need, so far as we can, to help police departments get better, not diminish their effectiveness. And I'm afraid we've done some of that." I'm sorry. Come again, Jeff. So it's not going to help them to get better, to stop abusing American civil rights. That's not your definition of better, right? If they abuse, if they violate my civil rights and the federal government comes in to stop them and to make an example of them, that won't help them be better. How do you define better, Jeff Sessions? That's the question. How do you define better? By all indications, Jeff Sessions defines better as being harsh on marijuana, not having anyone come to bat for minorities on voting rights, and to now say nothing about the violation of civil rights. That's what he considers better. When a person shows you who they are, Coretta Scott King, she knew exactly who this dude was. And yet and still, this is exactly flip side of this. This is not only exactly what Donald Trump is okay with doing. This is for Republicans, for so many Republicans, this is justice. This is the right move. This signifies that Jeff Sessions is an honorable man. And this signifies that Jeff Sessions is ordained by God to do the right thing, to help out our heroic and patriotic police officers to survive to recover rather from 8 years of an abomination that was Obama. So for them, this is a crusading night coming to save police officers. And I put it like that because I want people to understand more and more and more what we're dealing with here. We're not dealing with people that you can out logic or out reason. You're not dealing with people that you can sit and talk with rationally because they have an irrational, obscene view of the world. Up is down for them. On is off for them. Dark is light for them. Everything is completely opposite, and they have no ability. They support Donald Trump's policy almost around 80% on every single policy. Listen, we're not dealing with rational people who can actually be reasoned with. We're dealing with people who are so obsessed with their agenda. Not just their agenda, they're so obsessed with their singular view of the world that anyone who does not conform to that view of the world is an infidel. And so while we can clearly see that what Jeff Sessions is doing is not even dog whistle racism, not even racism in isolation. It's all sorts of ways, just a great disdain for marginalized communities. He has so much hatred for marginalized communities that the most important thing for him to do when he became Attorney General was to hurt them. And so while we can see that clearly, you've got half of America, or at least half of voting America, that looks at him and cheers him on like their crusading hero who's carrying out the work of God. Kiss my ass, Jeff Sessions. 857-600-0518 if you want to join the conversation. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question? Caller, you're live. 301, you're live. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, Sam. I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland.
How's it going, Sam?
How
What's
are
on
you
your
today?
mind? I'm doing great, man. Thanks for the call. What's on your mind?
So I, just wanted to talk a little bit, since you just got done talking about Jeff Sessions. I figured, first of all, call out to Umar live from New York. He's pretty awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, he is, man.
Second, first of all, I just wondered, what the hell is white culture? seriously, I don't know. I'm a white guy. We met on our inauguration, by the way.
Okay,
the media
cool.
met in D.C. I just, you know,
I don't
when I
know.
hear all this racist rhetoric and all this stuff, I just makes me feel. I don't know. I don't just feel annoyed. I feel like, what's the big deal? Like, I mean, I don't understand why these white people, why these white supremacists. I mean, okay, I'm sorry. Let me get to the point because you have a show to do.
I hear you. I hear you. Go ahead.
So anyway, my thing is, I think Chris Rock said it best. He said on one of his stand-up specials, I can't remember which one. He said, why are people always saying, the black community has come so far? Why is he joking? But he's like, it's really white people who've come so far.
Yeah.
Oh, we stopped treating these people like shit.
Yeah.
Just a little while ago.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I think people need to remember that.
Yeah.
And keep up the good work, Ben.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate the call. That was an interesting question. Like, what's the big deal? What is white culture? I haven't honestly had no idea where you were going with it, but if I were to put words in your mouth, I would say, what is it about? What are they holding on to? What are they trying to conserve so much so that they're willing to oppress other people just to preserve it? Like, what's so impressive about their life that they have to force other people to be them? Right? This whole conservatism thing is about conserving what they think is a glorious time and not just conserving it for themselves, because quite literally no one is stopping them from being exactly the people they want to be. But they have a deep-seated desire to force other people to not be anything more than what they are, but never quite good enough for them anyway. So it's not like you can become this conservative Christian white person and then they all of a sudden would like you. It's not like, you can have all the respectability politics in the world and then suddenly you're going to be perfectly acceptable to them. But at the same time, they don't want you to be free to be anything different than what they are. And I hope that's making sense, because I know it sounds like a word salad, but it really, really means something. There's nothing stopping a single conservative in America from being the exact person that they want to be, save violating someone else's rights. So it's not about conserving things for them. They can be whatever the hell they want to be. They can do what they want to do. They can start their business. They can go to church. They can be straight and never look at another person of the same sex. They can never have to worry about being transgender. They don't have to worry about it. Nobody's forcing them to be anything except for what they are. So what the hell are they trying to conserve that they don't already have? It's not about that. It's not about their personal liberties. This is what they always say. It's been the biggest lie. It's not about their personal liberties. It's about them being able to control you and your liberties and your identity and your sexuality and your gender identity and your religion and the way that you dress and the way that you have sex, whether or not you use birth control or not. They want to control it for you. Because who's stopping these people from not having to buy birth control? Who's stopping them? Nobody. So conservatism is a misnomer. It's not about they're trying to save something that is being lost. They could go to their church every single Sunday morning and do exactly what they want to do when they want to do it. It's not about that. It's never been about that. It's about having control over other people and stopping them from being something different than what they approve of. Which goes back to the caller's questions. What is so good about your life that you have to oppress other people from being anything different? Anyway, at least that's what I mean. I don't mean to put all those words in your mouth. Let's take this next caller. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, Ben. This is Elise from Oakland.
Hey,
I wanted to suggest that maybe we have a greater crisis than we're willing to acknowledge. What we're dealing with, and you were talking about climate change, excuse me, yesterday, and the sort of conspiracy theory around it. But what we're dealing with is people who don't care about the consequences of their actions. They don't care that climate change may in fact lead to a great species extinction, including human extinction. And they don't care about social justice. In fact, the parties who don't care about climate change are often the parties who don't care about social justice, who do things. I mean, Jeff Sessions is a case in point, for example. He's both a climate denier and someone who is a rabid racist. So
that's interesting.
Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold.
No problem. No problem.
So it seems to me that we need to be asking the question, what kind of political strategies or what kind of political what kind of political strategies do we need to come up with that are grounded in an understanding that these people don't care.
Right.
So that it's not just that they are impervious to logic. It's that they don't care. And that kind of nihilism requires a very different kind of politics from people on the left.
Come on.
And it's a frightening conversation to have. Because when we have to think about, well, if we're dealing with people who are really not interested in ordinary people's lives. They're not interested in the effects of climate change. They're not interested in the fact that the whole world could just go underwater, right? I mean, that's just I'm just using hyperbole to make my
for
point.
Sure.
If they don't care, then what does that mean in terms of what we need to do next? And so that's the crisis that we're in. So it's not just a matter of, we can't argue with these people. And I think we can get enraged about it. I think we should be outraged. But they're requiring a different response from us.
Right,
and perhaps we're not looking at what that response has to be.
Yeah.
Because, it's at some point, it's just like, okay, well, this thing needs to change completely, and it cannot involve a conversation about how to draw them in.
Exactly.
It cannot even involve a conversation about how to include them. It actually needs to be a conversation about what do we do? What's the next system? What's the next thing we have to do?
Yeah.
And I think that's a frightening conversation. So we're stuck in trying to, at least Democrats, I will say, are stuck in trying to win over people and so forth. And I really think there's a lot of value in that, generally speaking. But when you're talking about people who are as nihilistic and as dangerous as these people, it requires another conversation. That's
the only thing that it could actually be, right? And I was talking about it. Thanks for the call. I was talking about it last night in the conversation about climate change, because it's amazing to me that we're either dealing with people who look at the evidence and don't care, or we're dealing with people who, I mean, how can I explain this? They either simply can't, they're either living in an alternate universe in terms of reality, or they look at the same evidence and be like, it's not important. And if they're looking at the evidence, and we're talking about climate change here, and they're like, it's not important. And then you talk about Democrats, it says, it's not important enough for us to actually do enough about. Then we're dealing with, like the caller just said, we're dealing with a problem so much deeper than we even know. And we cannot deal with these people like the caller said. I'm just going to basically repeat what the caller said. We can't deal with these people by trying to convince them. We have to politically obliterate them. We need to marginalize. I mean, think about the percentages of people who don't vote. I'm of the opinion that maybe that larger percentage of people who do not vote, maybe they actually are smarter than the rest of us. Maybe they've been able to see through all the bull for the longest and they just don't participate. And maybe we should give them an option that actually resonates with the largest majority here in the United States and blow the rest of them out of the way. Because otherwise, we're going to forever be dealing with people who can look in the face of evidence. The fact that our climate is changing so significantly that it could pose an apocalyptic scenario and not care, or not care enough to fight like hell. And it's the same thing with every other conversation. It is the same exact thing. They won't address the real solutions. They won't even talk about the real problem. They just dance around it on both sides of the equation. And here we are fighting the same fights for the last 100 years when other countries have answered most of these questions. The funniest thing about these interloping Brits on YouTube, Paul Joseph Watson and Milo, who's gone now, and Sargon of Akkad, these interloping Brits, what's hilarious and so ironic about it is that they are advocating against, here in the United States, what they benefit from leisurely in the UK. Universal health care. It may not be the perfect thing, but not a single one of them has to worry about going to a hospital and not being able to afford a treatment or a surgery. Right? I mean, the housing program, the assistance, not even just assistance, but like the housing program there is far beyond what we could even consider here. So they're sitting there enjoying the luxuries of, and the reason I bring them up is because questions that have been answered by other nations we don't even have the benefit of here in the United States, while we have these interloping Brits, you know, keeping us, you know, interfering, keeping people against the very things that they are benefiting from. But that's a tangential point. The point I'm trying to make is, what the hell is wrong with America that we're still playing these infantile politics? Where the largest economy, the leader of the world, we are the most infantile we have the most childlike politics of almost any nation. And not only are our politics childlike, we have no desire to even have conversations about how to change any of it. And we can't have it without having, I mean, it's just the rabbit hole goes so deep in terms of the psychopathy here in the United States compared to other nations who don't have half as much as we have, a tenth of what we have, but they've answered and they're making progress in those areas, at least the developed nations. And here we are twiddling our thumbs talking about whether or not we should have free lunch programs for kids in schools. And we're stuck with, great segue into this, we're stuck with a Democratic Party who is so feckless. We're stuck with a Democratic Party that is so feckless. In response to Donald Trump's speech last night, this is the person that they put up to fight back against Donald Trump. Listen to this.
I'm Steve Beshear. I was governor of Kentucky from 2007 to 2015. Now I'm a private citizen. I'm here in Lexington, Kentucky, some 400 miles from Washington, at a diner with some neighbors, Democrats and Republicans, where we just watched the president's address.
Talk, Steve.
I'm a proud Democrat, but first and foremost, I'm a proud Republican and Democrat and mostly American. And like many of you, I am worried about the future of this nation.
Okay.
Look.
Okay, I can't take it anymore. I'm sorry. I can't take it anymore. I'm a proud Democrat, but most importantly, I'm a proud Republican and mostly American. Now, don't get me wrong. I know he was reading a teleprompter and he messed up, and it's no big deal that he messed up. But what's the big deal? What the big deal is that this is the first real salvo of the resistance. And this is what they put up. Yes, this is I don't know what the hell this is. This is crazy. This is so disconnected from where the American people are. It is to make a futile attempt to reach out to, I guess, working class voters, which they did so much to fight against while they fought against Bernie Sanders. It surprises me that they would even try this and not even pander to all of the identity politics all the identities that they politic to and with. They didn't even do that. They didn't even try to pander But instead of putting up a firebrand populace that could actually invigorate the nation that's upset with the shenanigans that they just got through seeing in Donald Trump, instead of doing that, they put up this cat who's, I mean, this looks like it could have just been straight out of a Twilight Zone episode. I mean, he looks like, what's the name of that movie with the Stepford, the Stepford wives? He looks like the Stepford working class. And the people in the background look just straight zombie-like. I mean, this is what Tom Perez, this is your first chess, this is your move. This is your night to, I can't even remember what's the opening move. I'll give them this much. Nobody saw this shit coming. Nobody. I mean, for real? And you put this up immediately after Donald Trump. And we'll talk about the media because the media is out of control with this Donald Trump speech. But you put him up there with a message of platitudes that are so irrelevant to most people. And for those that it even resonates with, actually, I have to take that back because the whole point is it doesn't resonate with anyone. That's the whole point. So I'm not even concerned about the fact that he said, you know, even though I did play that at the top of this clip that, oh, I'm a Republican. I mean, mostly I'm human. I'm partially Kleong, but I'm mostly American. Never mind that he messed up on that. The point is that they picked the most irrelevant and the most incompetent response to Donald Trump that they possibly could. You cannot tell me that you looked at this guy and you looked at this setting and you looked at his message and thought, that's the one. We're going to stick it to Donald Trump. If they thought that shit there, then all of the things that I have been attributing to malice really has been gross incompetence of an order that we can't even fathom. I mean, like, they don't have functioning digits. Like, how the hell did they even get out of their car into the office to actually write this script? Like, I'm sorry. This, and why is it such a big deal to me? Because it shows that the momentum is behind Trump. It shows that the momentum is behind Trump because it's not behind the Democratic Party. And even if you say forget the Democratic Party and say the momentum is not behind opposition to Trump, if this is the best opposition to Trump that we can galvanize, then we have lost already. I mean, Tom, is this really out of all the voices they could have gotten? And here, okay, here's the last part. Because he was talking like, you know, he was trying to do the setting of a working class worker, right? But, you know, ultimately he gave neoliberal platitudes, and you know, with some nods over to the bigotry of Donald Trump, which we all know is there, right? However, what they would not put up, they are willing to put up somebody to try to appeal to the Republican leaning portions of America. They will put up someone so feckless and so ineffective and someone who cannot have a hope or prayer of connecting with the body politic. They would rather put someone like that up than to put up a Nina Turner. Hell, Keith Ellison. Oh, God forbid would they ever put up Bernie Sanders. They would rather roll the dice with the guy who could not remember that he's a Democrat than to put up a real firebrand populist who could destroy Trump. Yeah, this is your resistance, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, no, this is not your resistance. This is the kabuki theater, as Nick always says. This is the group that because they are so incompetent, this is why we must absolutely be the people to lead the charge to defeat Donald Trump. Because what we can't do is allow this iteration of this, not even iteration, this is just who they are. We cannot let the Democratic Party with this, they can't beat Trump. They can't beat Trump with this. They can't. That's why I just stopped in the middle of my sentence, because I was going to say that we cannot let the Democratic Party be seen as the champions or the people who are going to defeat Donald Trump. But the reality of it is nobody can look at this and say this is going to beat Donald Trump. It's insane. It's madness. It is utter madness. And it just signifies how much they hate the progressive bloc. Because you could honestly randomly pick from a selection, from a sample of progressives, and pick somebody randomly off of Twitter who would have gotten up there and done 100 times better than this dude, but connected and resonated with the real silent majority. Not even silent, because it's, but they could have connected. They could have randomly picked from Twitter somebody, from Facebook, somebody who would have done a hell of a better job than this guy. But instead of doing that, instead of going after that fireball of a progressive movement, they put up Steve Beshear, who mostly is...
I'm Steve Beshear.
Who's mostly Republican.
100 miles from Washington.
Who's
First
mostly
and
American.
foremost, I'm a proud Republican and Democrat and mostly American.
And mostly human. And most, I mean, 857-600-0518. I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't as ridiculous to you as it was to me, but it was obscenely ridiculous. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Yes, Miss Scotty.
Hey, Scotty, what's up, man? What's on your mind?
I'm good. I am a proud black man. I'm also a white man, but mostly a human. I also am from the Zargon. That's Sargon, not Sargon.
Not that Sargon, the other Sargon. Go ahead, man.
I just wanted to say that it was a few nights ago you were talking about how we have to fight not only the neoliberals, but also Trump and the Republicans. And I understand that. Mm-hmm. I get that. It's just that there's certain things that the Democrats do, like Obama and Biden during the DNC race, that really keeps people focused on them, because they are the enemies of progressive politics. They really are. And when they do stuff like with the smear campaign with Keith Ellison, the whole thing where now you have Bob Casey and Cory Booker going in the press conference supporting Bernie's bill for the prescription drugs. But the problem with that is you already know that what's going to happen is that bill is going to be defeated, and they're going to turn around and they're going to blame the Republicans for that this time, when the first time around they did it thinking that nobody was going to notice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I understand that you're harsh about people not, being able to move on from Obama. The problem with that is he hasn't moved on when he's doing stuff like getting involved in the DNC race. And we have to come to terms with the failure that was the 8 years of Obama. If Westerners are going to have to move forward, they're going to have to really examine those views honestly and not really try to whitewash it and give too much of the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we don't have a choice at this point. They put up guys like Steve Beshear as a response to the, I don't know if it was the Union or the presidential address. I mean,
yeah.
you get where I'm
Yeah,
coming from?
let me jump in there mainly because your phone. I got 90% of what you said, but your phone was super muted. But I muffled rather. But I'm pretty sure I got 90% of what you said there, at least the core part. And if I'll repeat it. You said that even though I believe that we need to be able to fight, we have to fight both. We have to fight Trump. We have to fight neoliberalism. But you're saying that we have to put a special emphasis on neoliberalism because neoliberalism is the enemy to progressivism. And you use the example of President Obama getting involved in. So I heard that much. But then after that, it got too muffled for me to understand. I never, ever believe that we can give neoliberalism a pass, right? Let's be clear about that. We have to take neoliberalism to task inside of, but part of me is, I was getting ready to say inside of the Democratic Party, but the reason I hesitate is because part of me is like the Democratic Party is so far gone, let them do whatever the hell they want to do with their party, right? Why are people even concerned? Why are people even running for the chair position of the DNC anymore? And I get it that it's a major party through which we theoretically could gain power. I get it, right? But they have structured it so much so to insulate themselves from a progressive movement. And they have shown themselves to be completely bereft of any substance or ability to beat back Donald Trump. So part of me is like, why do we even care what they do? Why I don't really care what Cory Booker and the rest of them. I mean, Tom Perez is the chair of the Democratic Party because President Obama wanted that. Fine. But the Democrats suck. I mean, it's really that simple. They are not capable of doing what needs to be done. And either they're incapable or they're unwilling, and they can do it, but they don't want to do it because they want to spend their time fighting us. Fine. Let's fight them. But I don't really care about what Obama's done. I don't have enough energy to be concerned about that anymore because they've made it clear that they don't want any parts of the progressive movement. So that means the progressive movement has to get busy doing our own thing in a very significant way, right? In a meaningful way that's gaining traction. At the same time, we have to convince more people in the United States that progressivism, whatever that progressive movement is called, whatever party, even if it doesn't become an official third party, but whatever association, like Democrats, Socialists of America, whatever this version of what progressives need to becomes, whatever version that is, we absolutely have to show America that we are the ones who are capable of leading. We are the ones who are capable of making the change. And we are the ones who are capable of pushing back against what they hate so much right now. What do they hate so much right now? They hate Donald Trump right now. And quite right, they should. Right? This is my only thing is like, in the midst of us critiquing ourselves internally, which I even disagree with that sentiment anymore because I separate myself from the Democratic Party. I have no need to criticize ourselves internally with regard to neoliberalism because I don't deal in neoliberalism and I don't deal with the Democratic Party like that. Right? But beyond that, we have every reason to fight back against Donald Trump because everything that is being done to progressives by Donald Trump is being skated by it's just part of the equation for whatever's being done. Let me correct that sentence. Whatever's being done to progressives by the Democratic Party is also being done to us. It's baked into the system by the Republican Party. So we have every legitimate reason to fight back against Trump for our own agenda, for our own ideology, but very practically, like a very pragmatic portion of that conversation is that you have the majority of Americans who are becoming awakened to what are politics. They're getting woke, and they're getting woke because of Donald Trump. Now, we cannot sit back and just be the Johnny, the sad-faced Johnny on the sideline criticizing the Democrats and not capitalizing on the reality that, one, we should fight against Trump, and two, people are looking for leadership to do that. So pragmatically, it just makes absolutely no sense for people to sit around and say they're trying to build a progressive movement, but you are just simply being, and I'm not talking about you, Scotty, I'm talking about a lot of other people now at this point, you're simply being contrarian with everything with regard to Donald Trump, because you see Donald Trump as some type of enemy of your enemy, therefore he is tacitly your friend, and you spend more time criticizing the Democrats than you do the real things that Donald Trump is doing to America. And I apologize for having this conversation on two frequencies at one time, right? I'm simultaneously saying we have to fight Trump because he needs to be fought. But I'm also simultaneously saying it's just the smart thing to do right now. Because before you can convince people that the Democratic Party has been the problem, you got to show them, you got to fight for them. You can't sit back and say nothing about the fact that Donald Trump is infringing on the rights of the LGBTQ community, right? We can't sit back and say nothing about the fact that Donald Trump is deporting people like the Dreamer in Mississippi, who was deported at the end of his speech, right? And yes, I get it. Obama was bad. Yeah, Obama was horrible. Donald Trump is going to have to do a lot to catch up with Obama. I get it. But you know what? Donald Trump has done something that's beyond the status quo. And that move from being the status quo in America, which is crappy, which is Obama, which is mass deportation, which is war abroad, which is, all the things that we hate so much. That's the status quo. That's what America is. And people were asleep to that. And Donald Trump has now moved from the status quo to an even worse direction. And that change has awakened so many Americans. And they're wanting to fight back, and they're looking to fight back, and they're looking at the Democratic Party and saying, what the hell is wrong with y'all? Like, why can't you guys effectively fight back against Donald Trump? So we can't miss the opportunity to do the right thing, which is fight back against Donald Trump, because he is a piece of crap. And his policies are hurting people. And then two, seize on the moment to be the leaders who are actually capable of fighting back against Donald Trump, because America is looking for people to fight back against Donald Trump. At least the remnant of America that actually has some scruples, not the word, some marbles is actually, because you got a large portion of Republicans, man, that are just that are in la la land. Literally, they're gone. They're gone. So yes, long story short, yes, we got to fight. We got to fight neoliberalism, because they're fighting us. And actually, I talked about that. There's a video on that. There's a whole video on that. We got to fight both. There's really no question. We don't have a choice. It's part of the contract now. It's part of the deal. If you're progressive, you got to fight both, because it's the right thing to do, and it's the smart thing to do. All right. Jesus, I didn't mean to spend so much time on that. Couple other stories. Speaking of the Obamas. Let's talk about the Obamas. Michelle and Barack have both signed deals with, I believe, Penguin Books for. I wish I had a cha-ching sound. They have both signed book deals for $60 million each. I was waiting to say that part. Each. The deal is estimated to be between $30 and $65 million each. This is from Penguin House. Penguin House CEO Mark Dole released in a statement. He said, quote, "We are absolutely thrilled to continue our publishing partnership with President and Mrs. Obama. And with their words and their leadership, they changed the world. And every day with the books we publish at Penguin Random House, we strive to do the same." I mean, hey, get that money, Obama. It could be worse. He could be going to do a bunch of Goldman Sachs speeches. I mean, Michelle could be going out there on the banking tour and speaking. Hey, get this deal. I mean, we're still in the capitalistic capital of the world. I've got no problem with them getting their money. Well, Ben, we could have done X, Y, Z with them millions of dollars. Yeah. I got no problem. I know people are tripping over it. I know people are going on great tirades. Articles are being written about it. How, you know, Obama's benefiting from no. Let me set the stage. Obama's benefiting from, you know, being a war criminal. Obama's benefiting from being, you know, neglecting the black community. Obama, you know, it's great that he's getting this check. You know, it looks like, you know, neglecting people of color has been, you know, beneficial to him. And then other people are mad because, you know, he's bombed, you know, he's a war criminal. Yeah, I get it. You know what? So is every single American president. Hell, if we're going to really be real about it, let's just go the distance. If you're going to be real about it, all of us are guilty. You pay your taxes. You participate in this system that is. I mean, here's the other thing. People always talk about the deep state, but the deep state being the deep state that it is, did you not see how instantaneously it switched from Obama to Trump and we bombed the next group? We raided Yemen. I mean, we still are dropping thousands of bombs a day. What are you saying, Ben? I'm saying that that we hate so much is the baseline of America. This is what America is, man. And every president is in some form or fashion has become a war criminal. I'm sorry. If I know that this is what we're dealing with, I'm not going to look at Obama and be like, oh, this is such a horrible thing that he's getting money off of being the American president. What the hell did you expect him to do? Go home and work for Starbucks? Anytime a business can capitalize on someone, they will. This is what America does. So I don't understand why people are tripping over the fact that an American president who is probably a war criminal, and, you know, let's take a look at what's happening in Yemen before he left. But shit, I mean, everybody else got, I mean, and let me be nice to you guys. Let me be nice. Let me be nice to say, you know, I get that a lot of people just got woke during Obama. And so to them, Obama is the devil with regard to progressivism, because he's just, they didn't realize how bad shit was until Obama. But I'm old enough to remember Bill Clinton. I'm old enough to remember, hell, I remember George H.W. Bush. I was a kid, but I remember him. I'm old enough to remember George W. Bush, right? I'm old enough to remember that America and American presidents have been consistently the same on all these issues that we hate so much. So forgive me if I don't have like this extra hatred for Obama, because to me, he's been just as good of a Republican president as Bill Clinton was a good Republican president. Sorry, I guess people want me to be mad at Obama. Get your money, man. Get your money, man. I mean, I'd rather you do it this way than to go speak, you know, for Saudi Arabia. You know, I prefer this route. Then you got this other faction of people who are like, I'm just gossiping now at this point, but it's not really gossip when you put it out there for people to consume. Other people are complaining because they feel like this is an overpayment, like this is too much. They shouldn't make this kind of money. I've seen progressives say that Obama and them they're overrated. I'm like, I'm sorry for you if you feel like they shouldn't get $60 million each, but somebody with some calculators somewhere think that the Obamas are worth $60 million each. Sorry if you feel it's overrated, but the people who are writing the check don't. So, moving on. It doesn't bother me at all. Get your money. Oh, last thing. Let's be real. There's this other faction of people who are like, you know, that money is obscene and that money is, you know, I get it. I want to find one person who would turn down, as noble as they are, as philanthropic as they are, as humanitarian as they are. I want to find one person who is fighting right now. Let's be real. Every single one of us are in this capitalistic system. And I know I'm having this esoteric conversation about the tensions of being a progressive in a capitalistic society and simultaneously being frustrated with capitalism, but having to live and exist in capitalism. That's the conversation I'm having, and I'm kind of having it coyly. And I guess coyly is, but I'm being coy about it. But the reason I'm being coy about it is because we rarely ever really talk about the tension of being a progressive socialist in a capitalistic society that demands that you make money. We're not in utopia yet, right? And we have to get money. And I say that to preface what I'm getting ready to say. I like to see one person who is as idealistic and philanthropic and just, egalitarian. I like to see one person is going to turn down 1 million, let alone 60 million, because you got to fund your revolution. You got to buy your guns somewhere. We're still in a capitalistic society. So somebody thought the Obamas was worth $60 million each. And all I would say is, Barack, write a good book, man. Tell us, be honest with us. Be honest with us. Tell us why you ran as a populist and governed like the greatest neoliberal to ever neoliberal. Write that book. I'll buy that. Tell us how you can go from being a Nobel Peace Prize winner to having war in 7 countries. Because I feel like, Brock, if you're watching this, which I know you are not, but I'm interested in that transition, right? How does a person who says all these things that are spot on, and he believes it. He believed it then when he said it. Day one, he gets into the White House, and it's like the White House, like Batman, the old episode of Batman. You slide down the pole, and you're no longer Bruce Wayne. You just come out Batman. It's like the White House takes the progressive, or takes someone who claimed to be a progressive and spits out a neoliberal war hawk. I'm fascinated to know if he's actually going to write. He's not. Clearly he's not. He's going to write about the ins and outs of being the presidents and the who shot John and all that. He's going to write about that kind of stuff, and not really why he didn't fight back against the deep state, why he didn't fight back against doing things in foreign policy that he said he didn't want to do. So for some people, they just say, "Oh, he's been evil all along." Dum dum dum. Yeah, whatever. That's I don't want to call it Deus Ex Machina. It's more of what is it when you blame everything? It's blaming everything on the devil, right? It's like the devil made me do it. It oversimplifies everything to being black and white. This person is just morally bankrupt, versus looking at the systems that this person is being inserted into and how the system is stronger than that individual. And very rarely have we had presidents. I think we may have had a handful, maybe 3 presidents who have come in and were strong enough to actually fight back against this bureaucratic monstrosity that is America, that has a driving force of its own and has the ability to stranglehold weaker presidents. All that to say is, get your money, Obama, and write a good book, and talk about the things that I said that you should talk about. Anyway, folks. All right, I'm getting tired here. I only had 2 minutes. This caller, I'd be an ass if I didn't take this caller. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, this is Brianna.
Brianna, what's up?
Nothing much. Just tired, but anyway.
Yeah.
When it comes to Barack Obama, I don't have any, really hard feelings. I'm critical of him, but I'm still pretty young myself, so I grew up with the Obamas in the White House a good portion of my life, so I do have a soft spot for them, even though they've done, I guess, horrible things. But that's my opinion. I have mixed feelings about them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're these evil people just ready to wreck America like a lot of other people on the left thought. And one other thing when it comes to the progressive movement, I think we also have to understand that we do have the numbers on our side. Majority of America are with us on the agenda, because I can't remember which publisher was it, with Vox or Political. They did a polling where of Bernie Sanders' agenda, where they did a polling and the majority of America was with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was that? And they did that polling, and I guess we got to understand that the majority of America is on our side. They just want to see. We just have to get that message out there and let them know, hey, we are the leaders that you are looking for, willing to stand up for you, and that's not the Republicans or the Democrats. We are those people.
Yeah.
That you are that are there to fight for you, and we can. I guess in that way, we cannot just be wholehearted, because I know on the liberal side, we always want to look out, to look in the best in people. Like, oh, they're just as human as us, and we should look for the best of them.
Right.
But those people who are with Trump, they don't want to hear us out at all.
Yeah.
They want to watch the whole world burn. They want to see all of us suffer.
They want to watch the world burn.
We have to suffer.
They want to watch the world burn and declare that it was God's will, man. These are the type of people. You're spot on. That's the insanity we're fighting against. Yep.
Yeah,
Brianna, thanks so much for the call. Let me hold it there only because I'm at time here. Thanks for the call. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, I mean, we just got to fight. That's the bottom line. We got to fight on both sides. We have to constantly fight back against neoliberalism in the Democratic Party. But we also, but we more than that. Let me stop myself mid-sentence. We have to realize some of you are going to fight in the Democratic Party. That's fine. Go do that. But the rest of us, we need to realize that we can't put our hope in either party, and we can't put our hope in that, because time and time again, I mean, how many years does it take for us to get it, right? So we need people fighting in. If that's the only way they know how, and that's the only way they feel like they could be active, go do that. I'm not going to knock that. But the rest of us, we have to get busy, and we have to take the organizations that we're affiliated with and make sure that they're out there doing the work, doing what's necessary to actually build something to fight back against both sides, to fight back against this insanity. Our ability to look at the reality around us and change nothing, to never ever address the underlying issue, to ever, and by not addressing the underlying issue, they're allowed to stay in power and to continue playing this game over and over and over and over again. It's completely meaningless for us to understand that and not be able to get political capital enough to change that. That's not the frustrating thing. That's the sobering reality. It makes absolutely no sense for us to be able to critique that and simultaneously do nothing to be able to change that, because then we ourselves become that third wheel in the kabuki theater. We become that third actor on stage, right? You have the Democrats and the Republicans who will never speak about the underlying issue so they can keep their dance going. And then you have us on the other side who never do what's necessary to kick both of them out. And then we just keep our story going. We keep critiquing them. We keep analyzing it. We keep saying the same things that progressive thinkers have been saying for the last 100 years, but we're simply playing our role in the theater. Because the reality of it is that if we know this, then we should be doing everything we possibly can to kick them out of power. And if we're not, then we're just facilitating our portion of this dance. And we're simply the third wheel. All right, folks. See you tomorrow.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.